There are moments in your life that look perfectly normal on the outside, but on the inside, something is quietly dying. This was one of those moments. It was my 30th birthday. My parents had called me home for dinner. Not a celebration, just dinner. Plain white plates, store-bought rolls, and a sad little grocery store cake sitting in the middle of the table. No balloons. No streamers. No warmth. Just the three of us, sitting under a dim chandelier in the house I had secretly helped pay for, a house they were now terrified of losing. My mother, Patricia, slid a check across the table like it was a court summons. $500,000. A gift from my late grandfather. He had left it specifically for me, in a sealed envelope with my name on it, because deep down, I think he always knew what my family was. She didn't say happy birthday. She didn't even look me in the eye. She just said, sign the back over to your brother or you are not leaving this table. I looked at the check. I looked at my father, Dennis, who had quietly walked to the front door and locked it. Then he turned his phone toward me. On the screen was a photo of two men sitting in a dark car parked just outside our driveway. Just sitting there. Watching. Sarah, your brother owes dangerous people serious money, my father said. His voice was low and tight. You signed that check and this ends tonight. I picked up the pen. I turned it slowly in my fingers. And I thought, no. Not tonight. Not like this. Because here is what they didn't know. They thought they were looking at a daughter who could be scared into silence. They thought 30 years of taking everything from me had trained me to roll over one more time. They had no idea who I had become. If you love revenge stories where the underdog finally wins, hit that subscribe button right now. I upload new stories every day. You do not want to miss what happens next. Let me take you back. My brother Marcus had always been the golden child. Every mistake he made was quietly cleaned up. Every debt he ran up was quietly paid off. And every single time, the money came from somewhere my parents never explained. I was the invisible one. The one who studied. The one who worked. The one who they called reliable, which, in our family, was just another word for useful. When I was 19, I was in a serious accident. A truck ran a red light and hit my car at full speed. I spent 2 months recovering. The settlement from the insurance company came to $220,000. My parents sat beside my hospital bed, holding my hand, telling me they would keep it safe for me. They said I was too young to manage that kind of money. They said they would put it in a secure account until I was ready to buy a home or start my career. I believed them. 6 months later, Marcus was arrested for driving under the influence after destroying someone else's property. The charges were serious. He was looking at real prison time. But then, like magic, my parents found the money for the best defense attorney in the state. Marcus walked away with a fine and community service. His record was wiped clean. And when I asked about my settlement account a year later, my mother told me the market had been rough. She said they had moved the money to protect it and that it would recover soon. She smiled at me the whole time she said it. She lied to my face. Without blinking. I did not find out the truth until 3 years ago, when I earned my certification as a licensed financial fraud investigator. I traced every transaction myself. Every wire. Every transfer. Every withdrawal. They had used my accident money, the money I earned in pain and fear and broken bones, to buy Marcus his freedom. And it didn't stop there. My college fund? Gone to cover Marcus's gambling losses. My first car, which they had co-signed. Repossessed when they stopped making payments I thought they were handling. Every time I struggled, every time I scraped and saved and worked double shifts in that cold basement apartment, they were here. In this house. With marble floors and a new kitchen extension and a crystal chandelier. All of it paid for by me. And now, on my 30th birthday, they wanted to reach into my life one final time. I set the pen down. My father's jaw tightened. "Patricia," he said. My mother stood up from her chair. She walked around the table slowly. There was nothing soft in her eyes. The warm voice she used when she needed something from me had vanished completely. What replaced it was cold and calculated. She grabbed my wrist. Her grip was tight. "Sarah," she said quietly. "I want you to listen to me very carefully." I looked at her. I did not pull away. "You are going to endorse that check to your brother tonight. And if you don't," she leaned in close, "I will call 911 and tell them you are having a mental breakdown. I will tell them about the anxiety medication you took in your early 20s. I will say you are unstable, dangerous, that you are not capable of managing your own affairs." I felt the air leave the room. She was not finished. "I will file for emergency guardianship," she continued. "I have already spoken to an attorney. If I make that call tonight, you could face a hold on your professional licenses. Every company you audit. Every client who trusts you. All of it. Gone. Is a check worth your entire career?" I looked at her for a long time. My mother thought she had just played the final card. She thought she had found the one button that would break me completely. She had no idea she had just handed me the shovel to bury them with. Because I had been building my plan for 3 years. I had the documentation. I had the paper trail. And tonight, I was going to use it. I let a slow smile come across my face. Not a warm smile. Not a daughter's smile. The smile of someone who has been waiting a very long time. "You are right, Mom," I said, my voice perfectly calm. "Family comes first. Let's fix this together." She let go of my wrist. She stepped back, satisfied. She thought she had won. She had no idea the game had not even started yet. I opened my laptop. The screen glowed in the dim room. I told them what they needed to hear, a web of financial logic wrapped in just enough technical language to sound completely real. I told them that handing me that check directly would trigger an automatic bank review on any transfer over $10,000. That for a $500,000 personal gift, the system would freeze the funds for up to 7 business days for a compliance review. And that if the men sitting in that car outside did not get their payment tonight, no amount of money would protect them. My father started sweating. My mother started gripping the edge of the table. "But here is the solution," I said. "We protect the house first. We transfer the title into a business entity tonight, a registered holding company. That way, even if those men run a title search tomorrow, they see that you own nothing personally. The house belongs to a corporation. You become untouchable." Dennis leaned forward. "How? How do we do that?" "I booked an emergency online notary session under a corporate transaction code," I said. "She is in the digital waiting room right now. We have 12 minutes before the slot closes. After that, we lose the window and Marcus is on his own." I watched fear override reason in both of them simultaneously. That is the power of panic. It does not make people dumb. It makes them desperate. And desperate people will sign almost anything if you give them a reason to believe it saves them. What my father did not know, what neither of them knew, was that the holding company I had just named, Veriter Holdings LLC, was not a fictional shell I invented to fool them. It was real. I had registered it 14 months ago. I was the sole owner. I had been waiting for exactly this moment. And the online notary was real too. I had booked her 2 days ago, as soon as I got the call that my grandfather's check had been mailed to my parents' address instead of mine. This was not improvisation. This was the plan. We are right at the edge of the most satisfying moment of this entire story. Before it drops, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And drop a comment below. What is the worst thing a family member has ever done to you in the name of family? I read every single one. Now stay with me, because what happens next will leave you speechless. The notary appeared on the screen. Professional blazer. Calm expression. She had done this 100 times. "Good evening," she said. "I have a property deed transfer ready for review." My father adjusted his collar. My mother straightened in her seat, still believing she was watching me save them. The document on screen was a quitclaim deed. It listed the full address of their house, the house with the marble floors and the crystal chandelier, and every upgrade paid for with money that had originally been mine. The deed transferred full ownership to Veritaire Holdings LLC. I walked my father through every field. He read none of it carefully. His eyes kept darting to the window where the black car sat. His hands were trembling slightly. "This transfers back to us once Marcus pays them, right?" he asked. I looked him directly in the eye. "The balance follows the debt," I said. "Once what is owed is settled, the asset returns to balance." I was not lying. I meant exactly what I said. The debt they owed me. The balance I was taking back. He nodded. He clicked. "Digital signature. Accepted." My mother followed without hesitation. She did not even read the document name. "Accepted." The notary stamped the file. The seal turned green. "Transfer recorded." I closed the laptop quietly. My father exhaled for what felt like the first time in an hour. The tension drained out of his shoulders. He reached across the table and patted my hand like I had just done something kind for him. "The house is safe now, Sarah," he said. "Thank you." I nodded. "Yes," I said. "It is." Then I stood up. I reached across the table. I picked up the $500,000 check, the bait that had brought them to this table in the first place. I walked to the paper shredder in the corner of the room. I turned it on. I fed the check into the blades. The sound was loud in the silence. Patricia's face changed first. Then Dennis's. The color left them both at the same time. "What did you just do?" my mother whispered. I turned around. "I collected a debt," I said. The shouting started immediately. Dennis lunged toward me. I raised my phone. "I am live streaming right now," I said. "Touch me and it goes directly to the police." "Sit down." He froze. The rage on his face cracked into something else. Something smaller. Something afraid. "You lied to us," Patricia said. Her voice shook. "You said the trust would give it back." "I said the balance follows the debt," I replied. "And it does. Veritaire Holdings is mine. It has always been mine. I registered it 14 months ago. I let that land. The house now belongs to me. Not because I stole it. Because they stole first. $220,000 from my accident settlement. My college fund. Years of financial manipulation while I lived in a mold-covered apartment eating rice and working nights. I had traced every dollar. I had the records. I had the transfers. I had the proof. The house value, minus what they had legitimately paid in, minus what the courts would allocate, came almost exactly to what they had taken from me over 11 years, with interest. This was not revenge for its own sake. This was a ledger being balanced. They threatened to sue. I told them to please do exactly that. I invited them to explain to a judge why they had signed a quitclaim deed at 10:30 at night to conceal assets from a creditor. I invited them to explain the paper trail I had already submitted to a forensic review board. "You can contest the eviction," I said, picking up my coat. "You have 30 days. Or you can be out by next Friday and this ends quietly." I walked to the door. I unlocked it. I stepped outside. The night air was cold and clean. Marcus, by the way, had been sent on a completely fictional errand, chasing a cash drop I invented at my old apartment. He was still looking for it when the police arrived in response to an anonymous tip about suspicious activity in the building. He was found with a tool used to break into private property, His record, which had been wiped clean once with my money, would not be wiped clean again. 30 days later, my parents were living in a furnished motel. The house had been sold. The proceeds, after all legal costs, went into the account I used to open my own firm. My grandfather, somehow, had always believed I would find my way. He had structured the original gift so that if I never cashed it, the funds would roll into a secondary account he had set up in my name years before his death. The check I shredded was never the money. It was the test. I passed it. I want to say something before this story ends. Because this is not really a story about money. It is about what happens when you spend your whole life being someone's plan B, someone's emergency fund, someone's backup option, and you finally realize that no one is ever going to value you until you value yourself first. I did not enjoy that night. I want to be honest about that. There is no version of losing your family that feels like a victory. Even when they were never the family you deserved. Even when the decision is the right one. You still grieve something. You grieve the version of them you always hoped existed. You grieve the birthdays that could have been. The Sunday dinners. The phone calls that were actually just check-ins, not cash requests. But I also want to tell you this. The day I stopped waiting for people who had already shown me exactly who they were, that was the day I started building something real. If you are reading this right now, and you have family members who take more than they give, who use guilt like a weapon, who only call when they need something, you are not alone. And you are not obligated to keep setting yourself on fire to keep them warm. You are allowed to close the door. You are allowed to protect what you built. You are allowed to stop being the family ATM and start being the person you actually are. The bridge I burned that night? I burned it so the weight of those people could never follow me across. And on the other side, it was quiet. And it was mine. If this story hit you somewhere real, subscribe, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and drop a comment below. This channel exists for the people who were told to stay quiet and finally chose not to. Every day, a new story. You are not alone, and justice always finds its way.